Hello friends, today we'll see designing of DFA. What is a DFA? DFA is what? DFA is my finite automata without output, right? And when I say finite automata without output, in our earlier videos, we have seen that the finite automata is having these 5 tuples Q, sigma, del, Q0 and F, right? And this is what DFA. Generally, we want every finite automata should be converted into the DFA. If we are not able to convert the finite automata into DFA directly, first what we do, we design a NFA and we follow the standard algorithm to convert the NFA to DFA. That we have seen in our earlier lecture, how to convert the NFA into its equivalent DFA, right? But if suppose we can directly design DFA, if it is so, then we don't need NFA for that, right? DFA to NFA is not at all required. What we want NFA should be converted into DFA, because NFA is having some disadvantages. Disadvantages in terms of what? It involves a lot of backtracking. So to remove this backtracking, we need that NFA should be converted into its equivalent DFA. But suppose we want directly DFA. Suppose this problem is there, we are having one problem. Design a DFA for residue mod 3 of any decimal number. What does it mean? What this residue mod 3 is? Residue mod 3 is nothing but what? We are having a decimal numbers and we need to check it out. Any decimal number, whether that particular decimal number is perfectly divisible by 3 or not. How do we come to know that any decimal number of any length is perfectly divisible by 3 or not? When we divide that particular decimal number by 3, if we are getting a 0 remainder at the end, then we can say that that particular number is perfectly divisible by 3. How we are going to check it out? By designing a DFA, or with the help of DFA, how we are going to solve this kind of problems. So generally, how we are going to perform a division, right? Suppose we are taking any number here. If I am having a number, say 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to divide this number by 3, what happens? How we are going to perform this division? Generally, what we do, we'll take this 3 4s are 12 here, but here this is what we are having a finite automata and DFA. And how the finite automata works? Finite automata only read only one character at a time, or only one input symbol at a time. So this is my input symbol 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my input string here, and I want to divide this string by 3. And I just wanted to check it out whether if I divide this number by 3, whether this number 1, 2, 3, 4 or this input string is perfectly divisible by 3 or not. What will happen here? Instead of considering 2 character here, what I am going to do, I'll just check it. I'll just tell you how my finite automata is going to read this input symbol. So what will happen? It will read only one input symbol at a time. What is my first input symbol? My first input symbol is 1. So when I divide this 1 by 3, what will happen? 3 zeros are 0. When I say 3 zeros are 0, what I am going to get? I am going to get 1 as a remainder. One remainder of the first step, right? So this is my one remainder. This is my remainder, right? And then I'll take this, I'll read the second input symbol. Second input symbol is 12. When the second input symbol is 12, what I am going to do? I am having my current state is 1. Right, that was my previous remainder. I have clubbed the current input symbol is 2. I have clubbed the previous remainder with the current input symbol and form a number. What number is formed here now? My number is 12. Now I divide this 12 by 3. So 3 4s are 12. If I divide this number, this 12 by 3, what I am going to get? 3 4s are 12, and what I am going to get? I am going to get a 0 remainder. This is my current remainder now. So what I'll do, I'll take my third input symbol. That means what? My DFA is going to read the third input symbol. My third input symbol is 3. I have clubbed with my previous remainder. Now the new number is what? New number is 0 3. Now I divide this 0 3 by 3. So 3 1s are 3. So 3 minus 3, again I am going to get the 0. Now this is my current remainder and my next input symbol is 4. I'll take this, I'll club the previous remainder with the current input symbol. I'll form a new number. New number is what? New number is 4. Now I'll divide this 4 by 3. So 3 1s are 3 and what I'm going to get? The remainder is 1. Do I have any input symbol here? No, my input string is finished. And what is my current remainder? My current remainder is 1. If my current remainder is 1, that means what? This particular number 1, 2, 3, 4 is not perfectly divisible by 3. So this particular string will be rejected by this DFA, right? We want to accept such numbers or such decimal numbers of, you can have the length of the decimal numbers, maybe any length, right? That particular number, if it is perfectly divisible by 3, then only such string should be accepted by this DFA and other string should be rejected by this DFA. So how we are going to do this? We are going to follow the same steps while designing the DFA for this particular problems. So what we do here, if I divide any number by 3, what will happen? What kind of remainders I am going to get? If I divide any number by 3, I am going to have 3 kinds of remainder. Either I am going to get a 0 remainder, or I am going to get 1 remainder, or I am going to get 2 remainders. So these are the only 3 possibilities if I divide any number by 3, because I need to concentrate on what is my remainder, right? So here I am going to get 3 remainders here. S0 is what? A 0 remainder, 1 remainder, and 2 remainder. These are the only 3 possibilities here. So I am going to consider these were my states. These will be the states for designing this DFA for this particular problem. So here I have just assign the S0 as a 0 remainder state, S1 is my 1 remainder state, and S2 is my 2 remainder state. So S0, S1 and S2, these are my finite set of states, and this will be act as my queue. So for this particular problem, if I want to design a DFA, what is my first task? My first task is to find out this 5 tuples. So first, what I have done here, I have got this queue. What is queue? Queue is the finite set of states. Here, if I designing a DFA for these problems, I am going to have these 3 remainders, S0, S1 and S2, where S0 indicates 0 remainder state, S1 indicates 1 remainder state, and S2 indicates 2 remainder states. And what kind of input it is accepting? Right? What kind of input it is accepting, we'll come to know that. What is my sigma? Sigma is what? Sigma is the finite set of input symbol. So it is accepting what? Decimal numbers. When it is accepting any decimal numbers, so that means what? My input will be a decimal. It may be a 0, 1, 2 till 9. So my machine or DFA can read any of this number from 0 to 9. So this will be my input symbol or set of input symbol, you can say that. So what will happen? What is my next tuple? My next tuple is what? Del. Del. What is this del? Del is my transition function. What the transition function does? Transition function, this is what DFA, right? We have already seen how the transition function works for the DFA. Again, I'll tell you that it will take the current state, current input symbol, and it will give you the next state. So here, what I'm going to do in this particular problem, this is my current input symbol, and what was my current state here? Nothing was there, so I need to start from some state, right? I must have an initial state. So here, instead of single one, I'll just say that this is my 0, 1, and this is my 0. 0 is what? My 0 is my 0 remainder state. I have clubbed the state with the current input symbol. Now I form a new number called as a 0, 1, right? And then I'll divide this 0, 1 by 3. 3 zeros are 0, and I am going to get the next state called as 1 remainder. And what is my 1 remainder state? 1 remainder state is S1. So in this fashion, I am going to design a DFA for this particular problem. So while designing this transition DFA for this particular problem, the transition function will work like this. This is my transition table. Here, transition table works current this state versus what? Input symbols. I am going to have 10 input symbols here starting from 0 to 9, right? And for all 0 to 9, I need to find out the transition for all 3 states, right? So here, what is my next tuple? Next tuple is my Q0. Q0, what it says that you start from initial state. What will the initial state? Initial state is a 0 remainder state. If I put a 0 here, it doesn't make any difference. My number will remain same. So S0 will be my initial state. And what is my final state? Final state means what? If I perform the complete division, if my current string input the reading process of current string is finished and the current state of my machine is 0 or a 0 remainder state, then only my machine should accept that particular string. So my final state is also S0. That means what? My complete string reading process finished. If it get finished and if my current state of my machine is S0, that means what? It lies in a 0 remainder state, then I can say that that particular number, if I divide that number by 3, I am going to get the 0 remainder, and that number is perfectly divisible by 3. So in this fashion, what we have done, we have computed this Q, sigma, Q0 and F. The only thing is that del is left, transition table is left. So how we are going to design a transition table, right? To design this transition table, first we will see that what will be my transition diagram, right? So I'll start from the initial state. Initial state is my, say, S0 is my initial state. From this state, I am going to design a DFA because I am currently, before starting the division, my current state is what? 0 remainder state. Now, I am going to read any input symbol, right? So, we'll check one by one from 0 to 9. First, we take 0. If you are having at a 0 remainder state, that means what? Your remainder is what? 0. And what input symbol your machine is going to read? Machine is reading what? 0 input symbol, right? What we want to do, my current state is 0 remainder. My next input symbol is also 0. 0 get clubbed with 0. My number is what? 0, and I divide this 0 by 3. What will happen? What will be my remainder? If my current state is what? 0, and my next input symbol is what? 0. This is my number now, right? 0 is the number, and if I divide this number by 3, 3 zeros are 0. What will be my remainder? Remainder is 0. Right? So here, this is my next state. This was my initial state, I can say that. And this was my current input symbol. Right? If I'm at this state as 0, 0 was my state, current input symbol was 0. After reading that input symbol, then I'll divide that number with 3. What is my next state? Next state is what? 0. That means what? Self transition, 0 remainder state. I have got on what? On 0 input symbol. So what will be the next? Next input symbol is what? 1. What is my current state? Current state is S0. Next input symbol is 1. So my number, the number that I am going to form is what? 0, 1. Now if I divide this 0, 1 by 3, 3 zeros are 0, what will be my remainder? Remainder is 1. This 1 will, what this 1 will do? 1 will act as my next state. Matlab 1 remainder state. What is my 1 remainder state? 1 remainder state is S1. So here on 1, I am going to the next state called as S1, 1 remainder state. What about the next input symbol? 2. Right, the next input, this is done, 0 is done, 1 is done. Now I am going for 2. Suppose your machine is at 0 remainder state, that is at S0, and your machine is going to read the 2 input symbol. Right, what will happen? I am having a 0 remainder state, that is 0. The next input symbol is what? 2. If it reads 2, what will happen? If it reads 2, again 3 zeros are 0. What is my remainder? Remainder is 2. That means what? I am going to the 2 remainder state S2 after reading what? 2 from S0. So here I'll just say that if I take a transition on 2 from S0, I am going to get the next state is called as S2. Right. So here, what about the next input symbol? Next input symbol is 3. Next input symbol is 3. What will happen? Current state is what? Still S0. 0. The next input, the current state is S0. That means what? 0 is there, 0 remainder is there. And my next input symbol is 3. 0, 3, number is 3, 3 divided by 3. Then what will happen? If it is 3 here, 3 divided by 3, 3 ones are 3. What will be my remainder? Remainder is what? 0. Here, that means what? If I am at this state and if I take a transition on 3, my number is 0, 3. 0, 3 divided by 3, my remainder is 0. So that will be my next state is also a 0 remainder state. What about this 4? I am at this state as 0. That means a 0 remainder is there. My next input symbol is 4. 4 is my next input symbol. My number, if I club my current state and the current input symbol, my current state is 0, current input symbol is 4, my number becomes 0, 4. If I divide this 0, 4 by 3, what will be the remainder? 4 divided by 3, my remainder is 1. That means what? My remainder is S1. So here 1, 4. Yeah. If I take a transition on 4 from S0, I am going to the S1 state. What about the next input symbol? Next input symbol is 5. Current state is what? S0. Still S0. If I take a transition on 5, what will happen? 0, 5 will be the number. If I divide this 0, 5 by 3, what will be my remainder? Remainder will be 2. That means what? My next state is what? S2. 2 remainder state. So here 2, 5. Here, if I take a transition on 5 on S0, I am going to get my next state is what? S2. Next input symbol 6. 6, 0, 6. 6 divided by 3, remainder is 0. So your next state is S0. What about the next transition? Next input symbol is 7. I am still at S0, right? If I take a transition on 7, my current state is 0, 0 remainder, 0 is already there. I will take the next input symbol. Next input symbol is what? Next input symbol is 7. The number formed is 7, 0, 7. If I divide this 0, 7 by 3, what I am going to get remainder? 7 divided by 3, remainder is what? 1. That means what? 1 remainder state. If I take a transition on 7 from S0, my next state will be 1 remainder state. So I will go to the S1 here. So next transition is what? 8. Current state is 0. Next input symbol is 8. That means what? Number जो formed हुआ, that is what? That is 0, 8. If I divide this 0, 8 by 3, what I am going to get? What will be my remainder? Remainder is 2. So I will go to the 2 remainder state, and 2 remainder state is which one? S2. So here, if I take a transition on 8 from S0, I am going to get the 2 remainder state, that is S2. What about this last one? 9. Here I am at this state S0. If I take a transition on 9, right, what will happen? Current state kya hai mera? Current state is what? 0 remainder state. I am having a 0 remainder state. Next input symbol is 9. I am going to club my current state and the current input symbol, that is 0, 9, form a new number, and that particular number gets divided by 3, and I'll have to check the remainder, right? And my remainder is what? Remainder is my next state, right? The number is what? Number is 0, 9. 0, 9 divided by 3. I am going to get a 0 remainder. So 0 remainder is what? S0. So S0 will be my next state here. So from S0, I have just find it out the transition on every input symbol, that is from starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. These are the all possibilities I have considered here for if I at S0 state, if any of the numbers occur first, what will be my next state that I have got here. So you'll come to know here. Now instead of considering every individual transition, that is for 0, 1, 2 separately, what we do, we'll form a subgroups, right? You will come to know here, this is one group from 0 to 9, that is 0, 3, 6 and 9. This is one number. This is one set of number where any of this number, if it gets divided by 3, I am going to get the same remainder, and that remainder is what? 0. So I'll form that this belongs to one group, right? So instead of finding out the transition for one input separately or each input separately, what we do, we'll form this number. What is this number? 1, 4 and 7. If I take any one of this number and if I divide this number by 3, if I divide 1 by 3, I am going to get one remainder. If I divide 4 by 3, I am going to get one remainder. If I divide this 7 by 3, I am going to get remainder equal to 1. That means what? These 3 numbers belongs to the same set, which are going to give me the one remainder. And this is my third set of inputs, that is 2, 5 and 8. If I divide this 2 by 3, I am going to get remainder equal to 2. 5 divided by 3, I am going to get remainder equal to 2. And 8 divided by 3, I am going to get remainder equal to 2. So that is what, if I have any number, I am going to get the same remainder, that is 2. So that will be my third set of inputs. So instead of 9 different columns, what I am going to have here, I'll have only 3 different columns. So here, so I'll just say that if it is either 0, 3, 6 or 9, Right. Suppose I'm here at S0 state on 0, 3, 6 or 9. If I take the transition, I will go to the S0. On 1, 4 or 7, I am going to get my next state is what? S1. I am going to have this entry here. From this current state S0, if there is a transition on 2, 5 or 8, what is my next state? My next state is S2. So this entry I am going to make here. Right. So I have got all the entries for S0. Or for all the transitions starting from 0 to 9. So I'll find it out the same thing for the next state called as S1. And what is my S1? S1 is what? S1 is my one remainder state. So if I say that S1 is my one remainder state, that means what? 1 is already there. Right. This is my current state or the one remainder state, and I'm going to get the next input symbols. So here I am going to try for this input symbols or this set. My set contains 0, 3, 6 or 9. If I read any input symbol either 0, 3, 6 or 9, what I am going to have, my current state is 1, and after that I am going to write down my input symbols here. It is either 0 or if it is either 13 or it is either 16 or it is either 19. And what it says that the first part is what? First part is my current state. Current state is S1, right? And the next input symbol is what? It is either 0, 3, 6 or 9. If I read any one of them, my number formed is what? 10, 13, 16 or 19. If I read any one of this number and if I divide this number by 3, what remainder I am going to get? 10, 13, 16 or 19. These are my numbers, and if I divide any one of this by 3, I am going to get the remainder equal to what? 1. So my current state is one remainder state and my next state is also one remainder state on input 0, 3, 6 or 9. So here there will be a cell transition on 0, 3, 6 or 9. We'll find it out, the transition for 1, 4 and 7 for this set from the current state S1 or one remainder state. My one remainder state, that means what? 1 is already there. What input symbol I am going to read? 1, 4 or 7. So if I read any one of them, what would be my number? Like this is my current state. Current state is what? 1, 1, 1. And what is my next input symbol? It is either 1 or 4 or 7. Then what I need to do? I need to club these two things together, current state and the current input symbol, and form a new number, right? My number will be either 11 or 14 or 17. If I form this number, then I'll divide this number by 3. If I divide any one of this number by 3, what will the remainder? 11 divided by 3, 3 3s are 9, remainder will be 2. 14, again if I divide this by 3, 3 4s are 12, 2 is the remainder. Again for this 17, 3 5s are 15, 2 is the remainder. So for all these 3 inputs, 1, 4 or 7, from this state S1, I am going to get 2 remainder. And what is my 2 remainder state? 2 remainder state is S2. So from here, I'll just say that if I take the transition on 1, 4 or 7, I am going to go for from state S1 to S2. So what about my next set? Next set is what? 2, 5 and 8. So current state is what? S1. My current state is still S1. That is my one remainder state. If it is my one remainder state and I am going to read the next input symbol, it is either 2 or 5 or 8. If it is either 2, then the number becomes 12. If it is 5, then my number becomes 15. If it is 8, my numbers become 18. Right? So what will happen? My number is what? 12, 15 and 18. If I divide any one of this number by 3, what will happen? If I divide this 12 by 3, remainder is 0. If I divide 15 by 3, remainder is 0. If I divide 18 by 3, remainder is 0. So what is my remainder? Remainder is 0 remainder. And what is my 0 remainder state? 0 remainder state is S0. So from this S1, one remainder state, if the DFA reads either 2, 5 or 8, it will go to the next state called as 0 remainder state, and 0 remainder state is S0. So this is what? 2, 5 and 8. So I'll put all those entries here. What it says that my current state is S1. On 0, 3, 6 and 9, where it goes? It goes to the S1 itself. So my next state is S1. From this state, this is my current state 147. On 147, where it goes? My next state is S2. And from this state S1 on the next set of input is what? 2, 5 and 8. On 2, 5 and 8 it goes to where? It goes to S0. So next state is S0 here. So we find out the transition for S2 on every input symbol, right? Suppose this is my current state now, and for this current state, if I want to find out the transition on 0, 3, 6 and 9, what is my current state? Current state is S2. And what is my S2? S2 is a 2 remainder state. So 2 is already there, right? 2 is the remainder that I have already got from the previous step. Right, now this 2 becomes my current state, and what is my input symbol? My input symbol is either 0, 3, 6 or 9. If it is 0, number is what? 20. If it is 3, number is what? 23. If it is 6, the number is 26. If it is 9, the number is 29. So these are the various possibilities if I read either 0, 3, 6 or 9 from this state S2. So if I divide any one of this number by 3, what will happen? What will be the remainder? If I divide this 20 by 3, remainder is 2. 23 by 3, remainder is 2. 26 by 3, remainder is 2. 29 by 3, remainder is 2. So what is my next state? Next state is what? 2 remainder states. So from this is my current state S2. If I read 0, 3, 6 or 9, my next state is also what? S2. So on 0, 3, 6 and 9, my next state is what? S2. So here I'll write it down this entry here. S2 on 3, 6, 0, 3, 6 and 9, where it goes, my next state is what? S2 itself. So here what we do now, we'll find it out the transition on the rest of the input symbols. My next set is what? 1, 4 and 7. If my next set is 1, 4 and 7, and I have already told you my current state is what? Current state is S2. If my current state is S2, that means what? 2 is already there. And what is the next input symbol? Next input symbol is either 1, the number becomes 21. If it is the next input symbol is either 4, the number becomes 24. If the input symbol is 7, the number becomes 27. And if I divide any one of this number by 3, what will the remainder? 21, remainder will be 0, 24, remainder will be 0, 27, remainder will be 0. So from this S2, if I take a transition on 1, 4 or 7, my next state is what? 0 remainder state. So here S2 on 1, 4 and 7, it goes to the next state called as S0. So one set of input symbol is left, that is 2, 5 and 8. My current state is still same, S2. This is my current state. S2, that is what? 2 remainder state. So 2 is already there. Right. So what is my next input symbol? It is 2, 5 or 8. So my number becomes 22, 25 or 28. If I divide any one of this number by 3, what will happen? What will my remainder? 22. 22 divided by 3, remainder is 1. 25 divided by 3, remainder is 1. 28 divided by 3, remainder is 1. So for all 3 inputs, I am going to get the same remainder, that is 1 remainder. And 1 remainder is what? 1 remainder is my S1 wala state. So from S2, if I take a transition on 2, 5 and 8, 2, 5 and 8, what is my next state? Next state is S1. So I'll put that entry here, S1. So here what we have done, we got this transition table. Transition table is completely filled. That means what? We are having these 3 states, and for all 3 states we got the transition on all input symbols, right? So we have decided here S0. S0 is, we have put one notation, that is arrow heading towards this S0. That indicates that this is your current state. So what about your final states? Final state is what? Final state is that this is what DFA, right? And for this DFA, if I complete the reading process and if I got the lastly, if my remainder is what? Remainder is 0, then I come to know that that number is perfectly divisible by 3. Here for the sake of simplicity, what we do, we'll take one example, right? And we'll just check it out whether that number is perfectly divisible by 3 or not. So we take here 1, 2, 3, right? That number, that will take 1, 2, 3, and we'll just check it out whether this 1, 2, 3 is perfectly divisible by 3 or not. So what it says that if I divide this 1, 2, 3 by 3, 3 4s are 12, that we know, right? This is 0, remainder is 0, this is 3, and 3 1s are 3. What is my remainder? Remainder is 0. This is what we do the normal division, right? How your DFA is going to perform the division for this number 1, 2, 3. What it says that your number is what? 1, 2 and 3, and this is your first input symbol 1. So this is your finite automata or DFA, which is pointing towards the first input symbol. And what is your current state? Current state is what? Current state is S0, because S0 is your initial state and this is the very first input symbol. What it says that if you are at this state S0 and your machine is reading one input symbol, what it says that if you are at this state S0 on one input symbol, where it go? What is your next state? Next state is what? S1. Your next state is what? S1. It goes to the next state S1, right? And next time this S1 becomes your current state and your current input symbol is what? 2. You are at this state S1 and what is your current input symbol? Current input symbol is 2. Current input symbol is 2. So on this 2, where it goes? What is your next state? Next state is what? Next state is your S0. Next state is S0. Now this will become your current state, and what is the next input symbol to be read by your machine? That is 3. If you are at this S0 state and you are going to read this 3 from this state S0, if you are reading, if your machine taking the transition on 3, where it goes? It goes to the S0 itself. When it goes to the S0, what is your current state? Current state is S0. Is there any input symbol left? No. My input string is finished. And what is my current state? Current state is S0. And if I divide this 1, 2, 3 by 3, what was my remainder? Remainder was 0. That indicates S0. And S0 was what? S0 is a 0 remainder state. If my DFA, after performing the reading operation, and if I get the last state or the current state is S0 or the 0 remainder state, then I can say that that particular string is accepted by this DFA, which indicates that that string is perfectly divisible by 3. So here S0, if my current state of your machine is S0 and my machine lies in S0 state after performing the reading operation, then I can say that that particular string will be accepted by this DFA. So here S0 is act as the initial state as well as final state. So I'll put a star mark here that indicates final state. So this is what my DFA is. Earlier we have seen that how to design a DFA for this particular problem, but we'll check it out. I'll tell you that how the DFA is directly related to your finite automata with output. In finite automata with output, we have seen two types of machine, Moore machine and Mealy machine. So Moore machine and Mealy machine, if you see the del function works Q into sigma, which produce Q, and that is exactly similar to your DFA. That means what? From this del function, we can say that for every DFA, we can construct a Moore or Mealy machine, but the vice versa is not true, because Moore and Mealy machine is producing an output. Here, we have designed this DFA, and for this DFA, we convert this DFA to Moore machine, or we can just find out the equivalence of DFA to Moore machine. If I say the Moore machine, then Moore machine consists of these 6 tuples, Q, sigma, del, Q0, and these 2 new tuples got added here, and the set of final state were deleted from your earlier DFA problems. So these 2 tuples got added and one F tuple was deleted, right? What is this delta? Delta says that set of output symbol. What is lambda? Lambda says that machine function, and machine function gives you the output. As this is Moore machine is a finite automata with output. That means what? It is going to produce certain outputs, and how it is going to produce output and what are my output symbol for this particular problem. Rest all the tuples, that is Q, sigma, del and Q0 will remain same. Only thing is that we need to find it out. What is my delta? Delta is a set of output symbol. Here we are going to design this machine, right? So it is up to you what kind of output is required. So you can have the output in terms of S or no, or 0 or 1. If that number is perfectly divisible by 3, then you can have your output equal to Y, or if the number is not divisible by 3, then your output equal to N. Or you can give the particular things, what is the remainder, right? In that case, you can say that if if number gets divided by 3, if you are getting the 0 remainder, then the output will be 0. If you are getting a 1 remainder, then the output will be 1. And if you are getting a 2 remainder, then the output will be 2. It depends on you how to design a Moore machine and what kind of output you want from this given Moore machine. So finite automata, this transition diagram and transition function will remain same. Only thing is that this will not be there because it does not have a final state. So this state will not be there. Initial state will be there. Initial state will remain as it is as 0. What it says that my transition table will remain same because it says that del and del of DFA is exactly similar to the transition function of my Moore machine. One extra function gets added here, that is what? Lambda. And lambda is what? Lambda is my machine function. And how the Moore machine produces the output? What it says that the output of Moore machine is associated only with the state. If I say that if S0, then what I have done here in my DFA, if I reach at S0 state, that means what? I am going to get the 0 remainder. If I am going to get the 0 remainder, that means what? That number is perfectly divisible by 3. Then my output is Y. And for S1, I say that S1 is what? 1 remainder. That means what? I am getting 1 remainder. That means what? That number is not perfectly divisible by 3. So the output is N. That means no. S2 may be not exactly divisible by 3. So output is no. If you want exact output or exact remainder, then you can have S0. If you associate 0 as an output, that indicates 0 is the remainder. S1 associated output is 1, then 1 is the remainder. S2 associated, if 2 is the output, then the output equal to 2. So here what we do here in this Moore machine and the transition diagram, what I am going to do, I am going to have this output symbol associated with the state. So for S0, if I put Y here and if I put S1 no, S2 N, then what? That will be my Moore machine. And I'll find it out if I take any number, say 1, 2, 3, 4, if I take this this input symbol and I'll check it out what kind of output your machine is going to give, whether that number is perfectly divisible by 3 or not. If I'm at this S0 state, 1 read karne ke baad it goes to the next state called as S1, then 2, if it reads 2, it goes back to S0, the next input symbol is 3, it will remain in the same state as 0, and if it reads 4, it goes to the state called as S1, and S1 ke associated output is what? N. That means what? This 1, 2, 3, 4 is giving you the no output. That means what? This 1, 2, 3, 4 is not perfectly divisible by 3. If I extend the same problem for designing a Mealy machine, we have seen how to get the DFA for the same problem, how to get the Moore machine for the same problem, and we are having the same problem. For that, we are going to find out the Mealy machine. As we know that Mealy and Moore machine is of type finite automata with output. It consists of these 6 tuples, like your Moore machine also. So here what we do, all these 5 tuples, Q, sigma, del, Q0 and delta will remain same as your Moore machine. The only different from Moore to Mealy is lambda. And what this lambda is? Lambda says that lambda is a machine function which is going to give you the output. The output of Mealy machine depends on the current state as well as the current input symbol that will give you the output. So what changes you need to do in your transition diagram here? The transition table will remain same, and this will be the machine function of your Mealy machine. What it says that your machine function of Mealy machine, it depends on the current state and the current input symbol. What it says that if your state is S0, this is your Mealy machine, right? What you do in your DFA, what it says that if you reach at this S0, that means what? That particular input symbol should be accepted, or that particular input string will be accepted if you are coming towards the S0 state, or if your machine lies in the S0 state, that means what? It's a 0 remainder state. It indicates that after reading the input symbol, if you divide that particular input string by 3, you are going to get the 0 remainder. And if you're getting the 0 remainder, that means what? Your current state is S0. So what you do here, all the transition which are coming towards this S0, how many transitions are there which are coming towards this S0? This is one transition, this is another transition, and this is the one more transition. For those transitions which are coming towards S0, that particular string or that particular input symbol के लिए your output is what? Y, and for rest of the input symbol your output is N, right? So I'll indicates here this is the one transition, so I'll just say that this is my output equal to Y. This is one more transition which are coming towards S0, that my output is Y, and this is one more transition which is coming towards S0, this indicates my Y, and for rest of the input symbol or rest of the transition, I'll say that my output is N. So I'll enter those numbers here, N, N, and this is also N, this is also N, because for rest of the input symbol, if I am lies either in S1 state or S2 state, if I lies in S1 state, that means what? I am going to get the 1 remainder, and if I lies in the S2 state, I am going to get the 2 remainder, and if I lies in S0 state only, then only I am going to get 0 remainder. If I get a 0 remainder, that means what? That particular number is perfectly divisible by 3. Here what we have done, we have seen the DFA for residue mod 3 or for any decimal numbers. If I give a decimal number as an input of any length, if it is a length of 100 or 1000, that my finite automata or this Mealy machine or this Moore machine will give me the exact result whether that number is perfectly divisible by 3 or not.